So thank you to Alfred Chan for submitting this Preppin Data Challenge. We're looking at trade data. So let's start off with those country files. So all those CSVs that you had to download and make sure that you unzipped. So we want to do a wildcard union with these tables. So make sure that we search in the correct folder and union together all of those 212 files. Also make sure in your input step that you've changed the text options to first line contains header here, otherwise you just get F1, F2, etc. field names. So once you've unioned them together and we go into our view step, then you should have about 25,000 rows. There we go. Okay, so let me just change this to profile pane view, and our first step is to update our data roles for our partner and reporter fields. So to do this, we go into the data type, we go down to geographic, and we select country region. And that does give us some little exclamation marks here for values that it doesn't recognize as a country, but as the challenge said, we should ignore those. We need to do some filtering on these regions, on these countries. So the way that I chose to do that is I chose to go to the field itself, go to filter, and then select values. And then, for example, that was in the next step that I did that. I went to here and I just found those that I wanted to exclude, so European Union, world, etc. And I excluded those values from the dataset. I forgot to mention about the country codes, so I took that file path, and Prep can be so clever sometimes. I went to split that field, the file paths, and I did an automatic split, and what it does is it returns what's not common across those different rows of data, so it basically just takes out the country code, which is super clever, and I love that Prep does that. So just renamed that field. Okay, now we're at the stage where we're ready. We also did some filtering here, sorry, for the indicator type. We only kept the import and export indicators. Then we pivoted our data so that all of those year fields get put into rows instead. And at this stage, so did the pivot, renamed that pivot 1 names to year, excluded all the nulls from the pivot 1 values field. So that is here, and just changed some data types around as well. Then we're ready to unpivot, if you like. So we've got our indicator as our new headers, and then we've got our pivot 1 values as the values there. Now we're ready to bring in our countries codes data set. The only fields we actually need here are the ISO 3 code and the label and the geo.2d fields. We're just going to split this field, so again do an automatic split so that we can get the latitude and the longitude out. So doing an automatic split automatically converts them to numeric decimal values as well, which is awesome, and we just rename them to latitude and longitude and remove that original field. Then we're joining that data in, so country code equals ISO 3 country code. We make sure it's a left join so we don't lose any of our data from our world trades data, though we do kind of not have the matching information spatially for those countries, but that's okay. And then we remove any unnecessary fields at this point. Then we want to do the same thing for our partner countries, but we don't have partner country codes at the moment. So we go back to our country code step and we split off into an aggregate step in a separate branch. And we group on the reporter and the country code so that we know for each country what is their country code according to this data set. And we just rename that to country and country code partner. Then we join that data back in, and again we're doing the partner equals to the country here, so making sure that we're actually joining on the country names instead of the country codes at the moment, making sure to do a left join again so we don't lose any rows of data, and then joining that to the geographic data that we have on country code partner equal to ISO 3 code. And then there we go. That's once we rename a few of our fields and remove a few of our fields, we are all done with this challenge. We have our 15 fields, and we can tell for our reporter and partner countries across those years listed what their import and export trades were like. Okay, so thank you very much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this challenge.